Hey, Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today with another sketch-inspired layout. Today I am playing with this sketch. It is from Paper Issues. It is the August sketch of the month, and this is the layout that I created using that sketch. This is a little bit of a different layout for me because, yeah, there are 3 photos and they aren't together. Typically for me, if I use that number of photos, they're usually clustered together. This was a little bit of a challenge for me. It was also different in that there is no white paper. I have pattern paper background, and that's kind of unusual for me as well. So there are 3 photos, and I ended up flipping the sketch because of the orientation of the way that the boys are looking in the photo. That is why I flipped the sketch so that you have the 2 photos on the left and the single photo on the right-hand side, so that this way the boys are looking into the page instead of off the page. Kind of lead your eye in the right direction, or the correct direction, or the direction that the boys are looking. So this is my son. He is in the black sweatshirt, and that is his cousin in the red sweatshirt, or one of his 2, well, one of multiple cousins. He is the oldest of my sister's boys, and my sister comes down to Richmond every Thanksgiving, or most Thanksgivings, and obviously brings her family with her. And these are photos of my son and Sebastian, his cousin, playing on their phones, or actually I think they might be playing on their iPads, I don't know, on some form of technology, and they are playing a game together, and that's what this layout is about. And I am using the Simple Stories Little Dude collection. So I have also backed each photo with that teal blue. And now what I'm doing is I'm using a 1 1/4 inch punch to punch out these circles to create a sort of a scalloped border on the right-hand side of the page. The sketch, I believe, does not call for these borders, but I wanted to add a little bit more variety to the page, and that's why I ended up doing what I'm doing. I am going to go very high-tech and to find the center point of the circle in order to cut them. I am going to literally fold it in half and then cut it straight down the middle with a pair of scissors, but that way I know I have the exact center point of each of those circles. You saw I did have that one that I cut out from the edge of the page, but I wasn't sure it was the exact center point, so that's why I went with what I did. And then I'm going to use that one template to cut the center of each of those. I thought I was going to need more circles or scallops than I ended up using, but I will save those and set those aside as I have tons of this collection. I bought both the collection pack as well as it came in a scrapbook kit, scrap room kit, and so like I said, I have lots of this collection. I loved the way that the colors that I pull really popped the pictures, and you'll see how I use splashes of that teal that are also in the stripe that's around the photos. I will use that to pop a little bit more color. And actually, I don't end up doing that on video, but you'll see in the close-ups the things that I replace in order to be able to do that. So I was trying to get a balance here with these half circles with the red and the black and the white elements. So I have this frame here in these squares, and I really loved it. It says, "Love this kid." It's very simple. I wanted it to say, "Love these kids," but you get the idea. And the way that I had backed the picture meant that I couldn't use this as a frame, so it kind of changed the way that I ended up backing these pictures all together. So I'm still going to use that, and I'm going to trim down that heavy black there, and it turns the squares into more of a rectangle, but I bring them back to being squares again by continuing to use like that what was originally a square backing the photo to a corner, and then that gives you the illusion of the square the way that the papers have kind of lined each other up. So I've pretty much committed to this being exactly how the background is going to go, so I'm going to adhere that down. And I don't know why Simple Stories puts these quote-unquote 12 12-inch long strips in. I love that they include the borders, but I really wish they would make them 12 inches long. See how it's just that tad too short? So I cut it where I know the photo is going to go, and that allows me to extend it to both edges of the page there. So having changed the shape of that right-hand photo, I feel like I need to do the same thing with the left-hand side photos. So I'm going to use more of those squares that come on that 4x4 or the grid of 4x4 squares, and I'm going to use a couple of those to back these other photos. Again, they don't coordinate, but it gives you more color to the page. So this I cut one of those circles out of, and the circle you can see is behind, but it leaves me the perfect space there to be able to cover that up. I love that frame, and I am going to cut out the whole frame with the arrows that go all the way around it. The problem is because it's a black frame, it is very, very heavy, see there? And so it completely ruins the proportions of the photos there. So I'm going to have to figure out something else in order to be able to use that frame and make that work. So what I'll end up doing, see, with my hand, I'm going to just chop that off and just use one corner of that. They're kind of like photo frames in a way, not photo frames, photo corners, but they become giant photo corners behind it. It's still a lot of weight, but I thought that the weight of that those black lines are counterbalanced by the weight of the red in the bottom photos, and it also does really pop the color in the pictures. So one of the things that I struggled with was where the photos were going to go relative to the background pieces. And what I ended up doing was I really liked the way that the color popped on the white, and then the photo on the right-hand side popped on the yellow, and it provided some symmetry in the photos there. So that's why I ended up shifting things, because you can see in the beginning of the layout, I had the photos more skewed to the left-hand side, but this created a little bit more balance for me. And you can see that the photos are actually equidistant on the right and the left from the outer borders, and that's how I ended up going with that. So I am going to use that word dude, and I'm going to use some thickers or some LE Studio puffy stickers later on in yellow, and it's going to be called Dude Cousins is the name of the layout. It's just kind of the boy language that these guys used, and it worked really well for me. So I have a sticker from the sticker sheet that says "You rock." I'm using some foam. I'm sorry it ended up being off camera. I forget the proportions of where I film now have changed, and I'm so used to using my whole table, but unfortunately I can't get my camera to encompass the whole table. So I popped up "You rock" on foam, and now I'm just going through the sticker elements, and I'm trying to find the elements that are black, white, red, and yellow. I will off camera switch out some of those elements to include just a pop of the teal. And a lot of those hearts, those things in that dude title there, and then some of the stars are what I end up changing. Again, I just felt like, and you'll see in the close-ups how those pops really pop the blue around the photo that mats the photo and then makes those photos pop a little bit better. So I have that tag right there on the right-hand side. It ruins the proportions because I've got that horizontal of the frame that says "Love this kid," and it makes it not square anymore. So I will lift that off in a second, and I will have it hang around on my finger for a little bit. It's called kind of the holding zone. And yeah, I put it there, and then I put it on my finger in the holding zone until I end up sticking it back at the top of the photo. And again, it makes it more of a rectangle, but you still see the lines of that square. And that's what I go with. I really wanted to incorporate this banner in it somehow, but the way that the banner's aligned and the square, it just ruins the symmetry of the squares. So I'm going to go through this embellishment pack here and just look for things that enhance the color scheme of the photo, and don't make the layout look too busy. Looking at this as I edited it, I really liked that star on that right hand side better than where I end up putting it, which is exactly there on the left hand side, and I may end up moving that, although I don't want to pull the adhesive off. And really, is it all that important? Probably not. That's a thumbs down that I'm actually turning into a thumbs up, because I think the thumbs down is in a blue color, and it ends up being way too much blue, so I'm going to use that as a thumbs up right where it's at. And I'm going to commit to a lot of these things and leave them exactly where they are. See that? Oh yeah, I really wanted to use that, but this is such a busy layout as it is, and I've already got that "you rock" and a couple of other phrase sayings that I just couldn't make it work. I really wanted to incorporate these words into it. Something about "don't grow up." They're trying to fool you. I can't remember exactly, and I don't have it in front of me and didn't end up using it. I really wanted to use it, but again, I have so many phrases already on there that I didn't want to detract any more from what I've already got on there. So you can see I used a mix of the stickers, the puffy stickers, as well as these 4x6 stickers that come in a separate sheet there. This is where I try and use that. Oh yeah. So committing to these things that aren't stickers, I'm going to go ahead and glue down, and you'll see. So I'm going to swap out that red heart by the E for a teal heart. I'm going to put a teal star next to the stars on the right hand side, and that ends up being the pops of teal that I use on the page. Oh, and a little teeny tiny blue heart next to that arrow on the bottom photo there as well. So this is going to be the finish of the title using these LE Studio stickers. I am going to take a fine tip black pen and outline them in order to really make that pop. So that's my interpretation of the Papers Issue sketch this month. I hope you enjoyed this process video. Thanks for stopping in today. I'd love to see you again soon. Take care.